Howdy, everybody. It's your boy, Ryan.
Hey, it's your boy Easy.
And you are listening to Turtle Soup, the internet, nay, the world's only listener-supported podcast dedicated to the ongoing journey of the TMNT, all the way from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Until I discover the fate of the rabbit I saved from my pool.
What? I need to know this. I need to know it too.
After I get done with the rest of this, I will let you know because it's still ongoing.
Okay, good. I can't wait.
So, we are on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And if you are not listening to us on YouTube or checking us out, you should do that. We're not live as much anymore as my eyes still continue to heal little by little, slowly but surely. But maybe in the new year, our plan is to come back to doing live stuff. But definitely be sure to share the videos and everything like that, and let everyone know that we're on there. And because it's great.
Yep.
Another thing that's great are our patrons, Eric.
Indeed.
And there are two in particular that we need to thank today, because they're amazing. And those two people are John Clemens and Joe Pills.
Woo!
This one's for you guys, and it's the last one of the year. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's the roundup. You know what I mean?
It's the roundup. It's the end.
It's interesting, but in addition to a roundup, Eric, what in particular are we reviewing today?
Oh man, Ryan, we are reviewing an issue of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book, known to many as Volume 3, in the Image run, if you will. And we are more specifically reviewing what was at one time the final issue of this run, number 23, that came out October of 1999, last century, if you will.
Last century,
yeah. And the late 1900s.
Last millennium.
Yeah. And so we're reviewing that, and because if you're, again, new to the show, we are trying our best to do everything chronologically.
Yes.
So apparently I've heard that I've heard tales, if you will.
Tales.
Let me tell you a story. You know what I mean? That's a throwback. Yeah. But that they have finished or rounded up the what was supposed to happen with this run, but it happened. They did that like a couple years ago. So we decided that we're gonna wait and read everything else.
We are gonna wait,
like everyone else did, until that happens. So we'd appreciate it if you don't spoil us. Keep us in the dark. Yeah, because we're dedicated to the journey.
Dedicated to the chronological journey.
Yep. Absolutely. And so,
except when we fly through the late 90s to finish a comic that we just want to finish.
Right. Okay, just to keep it concise a little bit, because we still got some stuff in the 90s. We got a bunch of bag of tricks. And then we got the Next Mutation that's right there. Can't wait to get into. And when we do that, we're going to start our new review system, which is going to be a whole nother ball game. And then we're going to try to figure out a way to cover the Mutant Hero Turtles issues that were original comics for those of our listeners that are abroad. Because we're inclusive. We want to try to get everyone in. And because back
in the 90s, you had to put out your own Hero Turtles comics for England and have not all of them be original, but some of them be original, because you knew that flash forward to 2012 and beyond, when our podcast starts, and that it'd be like really weird to cover it after we're already done with almost everything in the 90s.
Absolutely. You had to do it.
But we're here for it.
We are. And we loved and they're mostly based in adventures, in the Adventures universe, and we loved that. So if you haven't read that, go read it. And if you haven't heard our episodes on it, go find them and listen to them, because it'll heighten your experience, I would imagine. And then if we've forgotten anything, if there's anything that you know about that we haven't done yet, let us know. turtlesoupshow@gmail.com. And we'd be more than happy to take a look at it. And especially if you can be like our cool uncle and hook us up with it, because
that'd be great.
Or at least tell us where to get it. That helps too.
Yeah.
We got Patreon money. We can throw some stuff towards that.
Make it happen.
But Yeah. So lots of stuff still to cover in the 90s, but this is it. And then at the end of the episode, we're going to be doing what would have been our normal So Basically episode. However, we realized that this is all we covered in this year, pretty much. And so we might as well just combine them together. So there's a lot to get through. And we're also, this is December. We're recording this in December of 2022. And normally, most Turtletarians know that we take a small hiatus during the winter, so we can hibernate and like do things.
We hibernate,
Yeah. And So we kind of sort of had been doing that the last couple of months because Ryan's been healing and stuff. So we've had a little bit of time off, but some emails have accumulated and we need to do those. So we're going to try to do an episode next week, a live episode, if you will, on YouTube. Yeah. And we're going to cover some emails and anything else that y'all sent. Well, I guess
chat, just catch up with everybody.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. I was like, what else could they send us that we could cover? But I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. That's how you send us. But
that's how you send us.
That's how you send us. And
that's how you keep us up to breast.
Absolutely. You got to keep us up to breast. And we appreciate everyone who sent the emails in and everything. So we are going to do that. And yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff coming up for 2023, my dude. Like, that's right there. That's knocking on.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah,
within arm's reach.
With arms wide open. You know what I'm saying? Goodness.
Yeah.
So yeah,
unless you're Leo and you're trying to reach with that left arm, then
snap.
Get it. But you know what I mean. But besides
romance.
That,
yeah,
right.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. So how you been, man? You're doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Eyes are kind of coming along, you know, kind of like some steps forward, some steps back, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But it's slowly healing, you know, it's over time, you know.
Right.
But besides that, I gotta tell you about the rabbit.
Oh, so yes, please do.
So yeah, so all of a sudden I'm just at the house and Brad's like, "Hey, do you want to help me save a rabbit?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, and he's saying things that just don't make any sense to me. Like all these things are just like, it's like word salad. He's like, yeah, a cat chased a rabbit into the chicken wire and he's caught. And I'm like, what?
What
chicken wire are you talking about? Like, I'm not Farmer Greg. You know what I mean? No. Like, I don't have this going on in my life.
No.
And I realized what he was talking about was the chicken wire cap that is still over the pool at my house.
Oh, goodness.
Still there. And I look out the sliding glass window and I see what looks like a rabbit. You know how rabbits kind of sit? They kind of sit like cats. They kind of loaf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They become like a little loaf.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just loafing on top of that thing. And I'm like, what? Then I look out and his legs are like stuck through. And I'm like, oh, shit.
No.
So I go out there and I'm like, oh, that's really bad. And he's in the middle of the pool. He's like in the middle of the cap. I guess a cat chased him on there or something like that. And he fell through the things. Well, you know, rabbits have like short little legs. They don't really like.
And we're talking
about, I mean?
Like, we're talking about bunny rabbit, right? Not like, not like. No. I'm not gonna say like.
No, man.
Roger Rabbit, but like
yes, Roger Rabbit. Yeah, I mean a jackalope rabbit. Like that's what I'm talking about.
With the antlers and shit.
We're talking. No. Hold on a minute. No. We're talking about a rabbit.
No.
Right, just a rabbit.
Well, forgive my ignorance. I only know like samurai rabbits or you know Usagi Yojimbo type rabbits, and I know bunny. So there's bunny rabbits, and then there's hares, right? Like they're bigger, right? Like is that a difference, or am I just making that up? Like this is a domesticated pet kind of rabbit, right?
Yeah. No, this guy's pretty big. Definitely wild. I don't see how there's any kind of like, but it's a rabbit. It's not super small,
right?
Like it's bigger around than my cat. I mean, like it's bigger. Like anyway,
that paints the picture.
So
yeah.
Good sized rabbit. And so I walk around out in the back porch and I actually get the look of it, and I'm like, I'm just repeating. I'm like, Brad, this is like really bad.
Yeah,
this is like really bad because he's in the middle of the pool. Okay, so imagine like a regular rectangular pool. With a rotting wood and chicken wire construct on top of it that I still need to take off and actually revitalize my pool.
Yeah.
And it's not just chicken wire that's like you think of like your like octagon kind of shape, like little chicken wire.
Yeah.
It's more like baling wire almost. Like it's got these big like areas, maybe like this tall, that wide, kind of like rectangular gaps, like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And his front two legs are stuck through the one hole.
Right.
And his back two legs are stuck through another hole.
No.
And his shoulders are almost down over the wire and just his head sticking up. And then his body's there. And I'm like, is he alive? His eyes are open.
Yeah.
And Brad's like, well, no, I just saw it happen. I didn't see him jump on there, but I heard a bunch of noise. He was in the house. I look out and he's there. And I'm like, he was in better shape, but now he's not in great shape because he got like wedged. Trying to get out, he got wedged in that.
Yeah.
I'm like, how in the hell? Because like, you can't walk on that wood or it'll break and you'll fall in the pool, right? Because it's like old. you can't. I'm thinking like, what do you do? So your boy got a piece of. I had chopped down some limbs like a long time ago. And I found one of them, and I kind of stripped the sticks off it, and I used it to go through the wire and up under to try to give him something to like stand on.
Oh yeah.
So that he could like stand and kind of push off the thing because he was like alive and blinking and nose twitching like rabbits do. And I'm like, all right, so let's go. So we get another stick. Brad gets on that one, so we're doing that. And then I told Alicia, I was like, hey, go get the like flat-headed shovel because I was thinking like if he can get up. My only problem is but rabbits aren't like very like deft at like walking. Like they kind of like he's just gonna get stuck again. Right. He's not like a cat where he can just like walk on the wire and be good.
Right.
So whatever. So she comes back out with that. Then she comes out with these work gloves and she's getting ready to like walk on the pool cap to like grab. Cause like, I was saying out loud a bunch. I was like, I wish you could like just grab him.
Yeah.
Just take him by the back of the head, by his like back, and just pull him up and just take him out.
Right.
But he's too far out. Like you can't. It's like too far away. You know, only a hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're all messed up. So she comes out with some work gloves and she's about to like she's like getting ready to walk on that. I'm like, no, you can't. Like that's gonna fall through. And she's like, just stand there. She's like in her work clothes and like these gloves. I'm like, all right, just we're good. But she brought the shovel. So we were able to eventually get him up and then get him to like blop onto the shovel. And I like moved it over and I dumped him kind of behind the pool, like where the pool deck meets our house. Okay. So it's like not out in the yard toward the woods, but like kind of, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I started noticing some stuff wrong with him. Like kind of like,
oh no.
I thought he would like chill for a minute because he was like kind of stunned. Yeah. Like I've seen this a million times. I've seen squirrels get stunned falling out of trees. I've seen birds get stunned that like fell into a pool and you scoop them out. And they don't immediately fly away. They have a moment where they're like kind of not being normal, and then they kind of figure it out and they leave.
Right.
So I think he's doing that at first, and then he starts kind of rolling, almost like he can't walk. He's like rolling kind of left and right. No. I'm like, oh shit. But I'm thinking like, well, maybe he's still messed up. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if like that was cutting off circulation or if that like what that was doing to his body, but give him some time to recover. Right. This is like what, like 5 o'clock? Like sun's, I mean, around here starting to go down now, 5 o'clock.
Midnight.
Yeah, midnight basically. Yeah. I'm like, all right, fuck, So we get him out, and so, I make dinner and I do all this different stuff, and again, he's still out there.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of sitting. He's not like rolling around. He's sitting up, but he looks shell-shocked. And I'm worried that he can't walk. And I don't know what's happening. Yeah. Because, at nighttime, we have like coyotes and other creatures and stuff. And I don't know totally what to do. Also, he has a kind of a weird look to him.
Oh, okay.
And I'm a little worried to handle him.
Yeah.
Because if he looked like a little cute rabbit and didn't seem like there was anything going on, I might try to like pick him up with gloves maybe and like put him on at least on the back porch and try to like give him a minute kind of thing. But he's got this funny look in his eye, and I can't explain it, but I'm worried. I don't know if he's rabid, but I'm worried that he's sick or something's going on, which I'm not wanting to handle that because that's how you get outbreak.
That is,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how that's how Dustin Hoffman's gonna be there. Like listen to me, Ryan. Squeeze my hand. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm patient zero.
Right.
So I'm looking for that not to happen.
That's probably for the best.
So so until we find out, at least until I find out the fate of that rabbit, we're still a podcast.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know.
But it was definitely an engineering adventure, and I mean, I was complimenting Brad and I was like, we engineered the hell out of that.
Oh yeah,
we got that rabbit out of there.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, there's something fun. There's something like that gets your blood pumping when you can figure stuff out like that. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's I figured this out, and I saved a life.
we solved it kind of, and did what we could. And, he might snap out of it. He might be. I know that rabbits, in particular, can get really shell shocked easily. Alicia, my wife, her dad used to have like a boa constrictor, and they would feed it rabbits. I think I've told this story on the podcast before.
Yeah.
But sometimes the snake just like would have eaten and like 2 weeks ago and he's good still. So he wouldn't eat the rabbit, but the rabbit was like petrified.
Oh yeah.
And they didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
So they would like eventually take the rabbit, like they'd almost give it like an amount of time. They'd be like, all right, rabbit, guess you're free. and they would just like take him outside and like let him loose.
Right.
But they lived in like a suburban neighborhood.
Right.
So like when I first started dating her, I used to walk up to her house to pick her up.
Yeah.
Like to go on dates, and there'd be like a rabbit just by the front door, like looking like freaked out. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And like it wouldn't run when I walked up. I'd be standing like literally next to my shoe. And it'd be like just staring at the ground like, ugh. And I'm like, oh my God, like 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah.
And then she showed me the story. That's so none of them get freaked out by traumatic shit, you know. But anyway, there's that to be considered. Right. And then the last thing I have that's going on, which is perfect symmetry, I would say, for this year in Turtle Soup. You know, one of our best best viewed videos was our Loot Crate debacle news segment where we talked about the Loot Crate issue and all that stuff like that. It would make sense that on the same day we record December 15th, year of our Lord 2022, the same day we record the last episode of the year is when my Loot Crate actually arrives. It is there when I get home from work. That's awesome. I got all this stuff. I got Armagon.
Oh, that's
he's
so
here.
Awesome. Oh,
I got Armagon. I got my turtle socks. I got Craig's stress ball.
Yeah. There you go. That's legit.
My body. You know what I mean? Like he's chilling. The t-shirt, which I'm interested to try, and all this stuff. And I gotta say, it finally came in after what?
Year and a half?
Oh, a year and a half, right? Because it was supposed to be delivered. I think I ordered it in September, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. But it was definitely over a year. I know that.
It was definitely over a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it finally got here. So I got my Armagon. I'm made whole by
awesome.
the Loot Company and NECA. So that I saw some other people getting them online and for a minute, and I was like, I'm not getting my shit. I'm not getting it. Like other people actually getting this specific Loot Crate I ordered, and I'm not going to get it because screw me. But it turns out I got it. So I'm around here. I mean, except for the rabbit, things are really looking up.
Well, that's legit. Yeah. I got mine a couple days ago, I think, and that was a good feeling. open that box and seeing Armagon.
Oh yeah,
and knowing that like that's it. That's done. We don't have to worry about that anymore. And I was this being my first Loot Crate experience outside of the delays. It was pretty decent. I kind of enjoyed a lot of the stuff that came with everything.
No, it's cool.
A lot more than I thought I would. Nothing I would have bought necessarily on my own, just to go out and get it. But having the figures and then getting those things, it was neat. And then the shirts have been kind of cool. I like the shirts. Mine though, I think the printing got off, so it's like not centered on this one. It was very strange.
Man, that makes me have to look at mine now.
Yeah, yeah. Go check yours. Mine was a little off. But I don't know. I opened it at my mom's house because some of my mail goes there, and I was like, "Let me see." She's like, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's by design." And I don't know, but it's. I think it's.
Oh God, it is.
Is it? Is yours too? Okay, then maybe that's how it was designed. But
I think it is. I mean, it's also probably just really cheap. I think it's off center. That's it.
Yeah. So
just set that over there.
But the other ones I got were legit, and so that was cool. But yeah, nice to know that that's over and done with. And
that circle is closed.
Yeah,
so we're good to go.
And then they've got the sculpt for him, and if the rest of the line proves true, they'll just make a regular figure of him, especially in the Archie series. So that's going to be really awesome.
Yeah,
because he's one of the best things in that series. So
absolutely, no, Armagon's the best.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I've been all right.
How about you, man? Yeah, what's going on with you?
Yeah, just living. I got to see you this weekend. That was fun.
I know.
Yeah,
the old Lakeland.
The punk rock
punk market, punk rock flea market,
punk market,
punk market,
one of those things. Some of the pocket
winter thing, winter streets in Lakeland.
There you go. So Shannon, my wife, she set up her shop at the flea market, and this one is one where they have like a bunch of the different markets that go on throughout the year. And we were part of the punk rock flea market, and she bought this like 1,000-foot LED rope light. And she's like, I want to. Normally, I get there and I pack everything with her and I drive there and we set it all up. And she basically runs it and I just entertain. So, but she's like, can you get the lights up? And I'm like, okay. So yeah, and I'd never done it before, and it's one of those things where like once you do it once, you kind of get an idea for it, and then
you gotta get a feel for it.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, yeah, next time I do this, I know how to do it. But so I'm doing it, and I'm like, this is taking forever, and we've got so much of it that I had to do it basically twice. It took about an hour. We were able to, more or less. And well, because I'm also helping her with a couple of things. Like
no, I can totally
You're looking at me like
I've got my own side of the story to tell.
Okay, because you're looking at me.
I saw your work.
You're looking
I saw
at me
your work.
Like an hour. It took you but
no. It was more for the effect of like, damn, like I guess.
Okay.
Like, God damn, I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so and your arms are above your head because we had to set the tin up and everything. So it was just insult to injury. And then so I got it done, and we're really excited. And bear in mind, the reason we have these is because it's a night market. So the last time we did it, we had some lights, but they weren't great.
And the thing is, you'd think, it's like downtown Lakeland, so there's like all these street lights. Well, the thing is, everybody's in tents.
Yeah.
So that just blocks the street lights.
And those street lights are good to like see ambient stuff, just like around, but not like detail stuff. Like it's odd how that all works. So yeah. But we go to plug it in, and only a foot of it works. And I remained cool. I kept my cool.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm
Thankfully, Mike, the bass player in our band, the Paperback Whale, was there, and he was like, "All right, man, we're gonna go get you some lights." So we ended up come back home, but that was an exercise in just composure and all that fun stuff. But it was all right. We did pretty good, and then got to see you and Father Preston and Lex and a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Alicia, your wife, came out. That was always fun. She's always fun to see, and it was a good time to be had by all, from what we heard. And it was good times. And then I'm just trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, because I think I've mentioned I wanted to bring back my YouTube channel where I'm opening things and reviewing things and like toys and records and stuff. So I'm kind of like going through the process of that.
Figure that out.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because you go through the motions. Or I don't know if anyone else does, but I know that I do. Where I feel like nobody wants to hear my opinion. Like, who gives a shit? Like, I'm just some jerk with a microphone and a camera, and I have a record collection and a toy collection. But then I realized that But what do I watch? Other jerks with toy collections and record collections. So it's like, what difference is it? It's like, oh, okay. So and then you kind of work your way out of it, and you're like, oh well, I want to make what I want to see on YouTube, because more than likely somebody else wants to see it too. So so I've been kind of going through the emotions with that, and going through that. And then today I listen to the Christmas music that gets me there. Like, and I wanted to ask you about that real quick, and then we can jump into everything. But for me, the Christmas music, the record I go to, Carpenter's Christmas Portrait, that one right there, just gets me. 6 to North Pole. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
And, ho ho ho. You know, it's all snow. White Christmas. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So do you have? And that's because my mom loved the Carpenters.
Sure.
And every Christmas it was that's what, and it signified it. And all the, like, any trips we went on to go get presents or to go deliver presents to people, like, that's what was playing on the radio, and it just brings me back there every single time. And it's really good. And then when you realize that Karen Carpenter plays drums on a lot of that stuff, and you're like, oh, that's cool, I didn't realize that. And then it's just neat. But what do you have anything like that? Do you have a Christmas thing that gets you there, or at least a song or anything?
I mean, the only thing that really gets me there probably is A Christmas Story, the movie.
Oh yeah,
that's like the only. I'm not a big, like, I dig Christmas, but I'm not a big, like, Christmas music or Christmas. I don't know. Like, I just kind of enjoy the holiday as it is. I don't need, like, my own stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the A Christmas Story, watching that is classic. And obviously, like, when you have kids, like, introducing that to them is really cool.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I haven't.
So I'd say that's probably it.
Yeah. There's something about it that, like, I can. Because I know what you're saying, where I'm like, because, like, also at the same time, like decorating was always a weird thing at my house. Like, because sometimes like if we didn't want to do it, my mom would get mad and this and that, and it was just point of contention. So I don't really decorate, but if I want to get in that spirit, if I want to get there, like I can watch or listen to that, and it kind of brings it back. I would imagine like the Rankin and Bass holiday specials, the Frosty the Snowman and all the Misfit toys and all that stuff. I think that does it for me as well. But I was just curious because some people have like just different, because there's a lot of Christmas albums, which is very weird.
Oh, there are.
Yeah, to think that like, but see, it makes me wish that every holiday had its own dedicated music. I probably wouldn't listen to it, but I like the idea of like there's like a
but I still want a bunch of people to make it anyway.
I still want
I still want a bunch of people to make it. Yeah,
just because I want that. I think that like Halloween has some music. I guess you have like some country like stuff for the 4th of July. The patriotic stuff that kind of works, but like I guess you could say love songs or Valentine's Day stuff. So there's a couple that have music, but like nothing comes close to like Christmas music. And
no, Christmas music is its own thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I don't know, but if you have a Christmas record that you dig that gets you there, let us know. turtlesoupshow@gmail.com or in the comments below if you're on YouTube. Let us know. So well, goodness. Well, I was trying to think of a Christmas transition.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I don't know. You're the transition master. So
I'm trying to think because like the pages are black and white, but no. Okay. This is so okay. Well, Christmas trees and stuff like that. It's that time of year for hanging things that are green. So let's talk about the cover of issue number 23 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Image Comics, Ryan.
Or you say, speaking of a Christmas in red and green, we read some green turtle stories. You know what I mean? Like you could run that one.
That's so good. Dang it! I wish I would have.
Hey, it's all good. Are you ready to do it?
Yeah. Here we go.
All right. Image Comics TMNT Volume 3, number 23 from October of 1999. You were already worried about it. You were like, turn your computer off. Best Buy said, turn my computer off. You were already like hearing Princess 1999 way too much.
Oh yeah.
And you were already like, man, this is like the last Christmas, bro, or the last like Halloween, bro, of like the millennium, bro. And you were saying all those things all the time.
Yeah.
That's where you were when this issue dropped. And it is the last issue of Volume 3 made in its original time.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later. This does conclude way up in the year 2018, and then even later after that.
Yeah.
But this is the last issue that we had for a very long time in this world, and we are reviewing that today. So, what do you think about this cover, Eric? What's your feelings on it?
Oh goodness, this cover. There's a lot that I want to like about this cover.
Yeah.
First of all,
love the pink and purple of it all.
Love the pink and purple. Love pink and purple. They just go great. It's like peanut butter and jelly. It's like that. But like, the masthead's great. All that stuff. But the thing, and again, they have the obscured masthead with the foot soldiers like literal foot obscuring it. So it's just G Mutant Ninja Turtles is pretty much what you're looking at. So but essentially what's happening is Leo, Mike, and Don are all being jumped by a horde of about maybe 6-7 ninjas, Foot Clan ninjas, from above, and standing above them is Lady Shredder in all her shiny, sharp glory. And then to the left of her is a bound and chained up Raphael, who looks a little too Raph, if you will. And he's looks like he's got a little bit of too much of a good thing, and just something's just not. He looks rough. He looks rough, and they're in a warehouse, presumably one with like a ton of windows that are all broken and stuff. So I like the color scheme. I think that's really what it is. Is the color scheme is neat.
It's that pink, is that purple kind of gradient that's going through the windows that makes me want to love this cover.
Absolutely.
And the interrupted masthead is awesome. I love that. This one literally interrupts the image part of the masthead. It's the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
I want to love that, but then some of the art doesn't really like come home. I don't know what it is. It's good. It's fine. It's just not.
Yeah.
Some of these covers we've seen have been ridiculous. And
Absolutely.
this is definitely not one to go out on. You know what I'm saying?
And I think what it is that, and I get it, they're trying to show that Raphael was beat up because, like, that's ostensibly what happened last issue, or what happens between these two issues. And so I get that, but he just, it's not a good look. And then Lady Shredder just looks, there's something just not, it looks like someone, it looks amateurish, if you will. I should say it looks rushed.
It's the pose. It's the pose, I think. It's just the hurt. Like, I'm kind of hurt. I'm right here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like kind of, there's not a lot of action going on with her. But yeah. No, I understand. I understand it completely.
Yeah.
And yeah. So this comic was written by Gary Carlson, penciled and inked by Frank Fosco. He does his own inking on this last issue. Letters, Pat Brosseau, editor Eric Larson, and loves soft, furry little animals, Josh Eichhorn, your assistant editor there. And I wish you could show some love to that rabbit. That's in my backyard right now. That's just sitting, probably.
Yeah.
If he loves them so much, where were you for my rabbit, huh?
Exactly. Where were you, Eichhorn? I want to know.
I don't know why, for some reason, when you said Eichhorn, like just his last name, that sounded like such an insult.
It did.
Like, Eichhorn, you're like, oh, excuse me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Get your that. Yeah. So this is the last issue. So we gotta enjoy it. Right?
Yeah.
So what you got?
So basically, I'm not gonna. We're gonna go through the whole.
Please don't tell
later.
The entire,
no, I'm not gonna do the whole thing now.
Tell the entire story again. Okay.
So, but essentially, what you need to know is that Donatello is an android, cyborg robot, half turtle, half machine, all ninja, and Mikey's an author and a lover. He's got a girlfriend named Sarah, who apparently has great hooters, according to this issue. Which we're gonna find out. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. And,
we're gonna get into that whole conversation because that's rough.
And his family has an opinion about her as well. And then Leo got his hand bit off when him and Casey and Michelangelo were in the sewers trying to find out who was killing all these kids. And then also in turn killed all these presumed gator hunters. And that's where they stumbled upon
King Komodo said only a hand.
Right, exactly.
You know
and that's what he took. So he took the hand. Casey then and Leo took care of the rest of the Komodo dragons that were there. And that's where we also got reintroduced to Leatherhead and Dr. X, right? Not yet, because Professor X is a different character. My brain was like, no, it's Professor X. I'm like, no, that's a different character. That's a different character that can't walk, really. So, but sorry. But,
pretty good. No, it's good.
He prefers sitting in a chair.
Accurate. It's fair and accurate.
So yeah. So there's that. Splinter was a rat. Is a rat, was a bat, is back to being a rat, and he's got something weird going on. We're not sure. They had to go back on the astral plane, and to do that, there was a Foot Clan member that helped them out named Sheng, I think.
Yeah.
And he was enlisted by Raphael, and you're like, how was Raphael doing that? Well, that's because Raphael took control of the Foot Clan and became Shredder when he found their armor. Or Shredder's armor, yeah. And so he's been running the Foot all this time. So there's that. Well, until a couple of issues ago, we see that like Pamiko's back in town. Now Pamiko was a part of the Kunichi, which she was there at the beginning, and she's helped. She fought the turtles on their birthday. The first issue we had was their birthday. She comes in and wrecks it. So she comes back into the scene, and we think that she's trying to usurp Raphael's Foot leadership. And there's this whole thing with the Foot from Japan, and they come in, and the Foot basically betray Raphael. They have a fight, him and Pamiko, and that's where that's at. And they meet Lady Shredder. Lady Shredder's there. A new challenger comes in.
A new challenger. Yeah.
And so there's that. And then finally, I mentioned Casey. Casey Jones took all the credit for killing all those gators, the Komodo dragons. And he was delivered a check. Apparently, they had a whole parade in his honor.
They did.
which was nuts. And he supposedly got $10,000, and the whole thing was that he called out sick to work that day to go get this, to get the reward money. And so that's going to come into play now, and that's where we're at. That's so basically. So we'll talk about the rest of the stuff later. But here we have Leonardo getting some practice in, because he needs to get ready for anything that's going to happen, because he's not used to fighting without a hand, with only one hand. So Donatello has made him a hand, and we saw some stuff with this last issue that he was struggling with, like the idea that it might be that organic stuff that Donnie has, and he didn't want that.
Yeah.
All this weird stuff.
He's not a fan of that living metal life. So you see that he's got like a Colossus-looking hand right now.
Oh yeah,
but it's just like literally like a cyborg. It's like a cyborg hand, but it's not like grafted to him or anything.
I think it responds to some of his muscle stuff.
It's like his forearm muscles make it work and stuff like that.
Yeah. And Donnie made this out of stuff he found in the sewer, presumably, and like most of the things the turtles have done. And
so we're sure he cleaned.
Yeah. So they're going. Him and Mikey are practicing and trying to get him used to it, get familiar with it, so that it becomes second nature, essentially. And all of a sudden, Michelangelo, the master, the chucker himself, he ends up getting too much into it and pops the hand off, which is hilarious.
He got his top pop.
Got his pop topped. And so, and that's just like really embarrassing, and really you're like,
it is really embarrassing.
You don't want to bring up the fact, and then I personally would not be good for this situation, because I would just keep making all the puns, all of them.
Oh, it'd be really bad.
Yeah, it would be really bad. And so so his hand's just on the ground holding the sword, and it's just like, that's got to be weird, just looking at your hand, just being like, oh wait, that's my new metal hand, and it's just not on me. That's weird.
Like, hand?
So Leo's upset about this, and he's like, I thought you said it was going to stay on and all this. And Donnie's like, let me fix it, whatever, making jokes about hands and stuff and all that. And then we see Dr. X comes in. Now, again, I forgot to mention, Dr. X is a Utrom who was a leftover. Well, leftover, that seems like really derogative. He was left behind whenever in the early issues of Mirage, where the Utroms left the Earth in like the early issues. And so he's been here, and he's been friends with Leatherhead, and they've been working on stuff. Well, apparently they were working on the exoskeletons that we saw back then. That's similar to that's kind of like a mix between Krang's android walker, the toy that Playmates made, and then the actual doughy body. It's like some hybrid of those two things. That's essentially what you're looking at. And so he's talking about trying to get that back in order, like to get it to where it's going to get to resume Leatherhead's work that he was doing before. And that's the other thing. Leatherhead, there was a transmat. We saw the Triceratons, and Leatherhead got taken away with them. So so he's not in the picture. Right now.
He went off with him.
He went off with him, indeed. And so because Leatherhead was not happy with the Triceratons, or Triceratom, if you will. So good. So they so they end up getting the exoskeleton bodysuit all set up, and it's one of those ones where they're in the abdomen area, which I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think? Is that like a protection thing that he's not like, because maybe it's because I think he's a brain that he should be in the head portion, but like in this and in the animated series, he's always in the abdomen section, like the stomach area, the snack area, if you will. And
well, they actually covered this early. Wait a minute, no. They covered this in Mirage Volume 2 with Baxter and his robot body design. His brain was in the abdomen.
Right.
Because it actually makes all the sense in the world.
We talked about this.
For the brain to be protected by the most armor and stuff. Right? Yeah. Like, so you don't need to be in the head, because that's weird. Also, I imagine it's almost like in actual like so in Battlestar Galactica, for example,
I've heard of
the
it.
bridge of the Galactica is like deep inside the ship. There's no reason to have it on the front, like it's the Enterprise where you're looking out the front windows. Like that's not a thing.
Right.
Like that's how you lose your bridge.
Right. Exactly.
Like from like a micrometeorite or something. So and in the Expanse and stuff, also in that universe, the bridges are inside, deep inside the ship. There's no point to have it where you can see. It's like, you just have screens for that. So here, I think I guess that's part of the idea.
Yeah.
You know,
that makes perfect sense.
He's in the most protected, like, central area.
Yeah. Well, like, that just reminded me. So, like, do you think that, like, so when I forget how far in the future Star Trek takes place, but if
it's several hundred years from now,
even further beyond that, do you think that they have used Starship salesmen that are like, oh, well, here's the NS whatever the Enterprise from TNG was, and it's like they're like, well, the bridge is on the front, which seems counterintuitive to protection, but watch this, it separates, and they're like, that's the selling point. They get the sticker on the front of it.
You know that's what made the Federation buy the Enterprise D.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
they were like, all right, that's pretty cool. I see the warp nacelles. I like that. That honestly, that looks a lot like the old Enterprise. Right. It's like, check this shit. They're like, up, sold.
Oh yeah.
Take our money. Yeah. Although they're like post scarcity, so do they have money? Like
they just shake hands.
Make
on
me
it,
one, please.
Yes. Like, make it so.
You can't even say you sold me. You're like,
yeah, no.
You've convinced me to commission one of these.
Right.
Please.
Goodness, that's just too funny. Seeing the Enterprise with the used car sticker like in the window, like that's just living in my brain right now.
That'd be hot fire. So it's like San Francisco starships, like in the corner, in the back corner. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty good.
So like that. So there's the android body. We got it down here. Yep. Let me zoom in so you can see it real quick. So yeah, there he goes. And the interior art is not the best. It's not indicative of the rest of the series. It does look kind of rushed.
It looks fast. It looks like it was done fast. Also, I just don't think that we can like really underestimate the fact that like Fosco had to pencil and ink this himself.
Right.
Like that he's obviously not used to that process.
Right.
So I think that it looks different than all the other stuff.
But the thing about this is that what's there, that this is a competent artist. Like you can tell
absolutely
that there's good stuff there. It's just that, things happened, especially back then, that you just had to get stuff done. And then we don't know. Yeah. We don't know too. Well, we might know, but I just didn't see anything about it. But it could also be one of those things where like they already gotten paid for this, and so but they also know that this is the last thing, and you don't know what that does to like you can never tell what that's going to do to a person's psyche when they're working on a piece of art. It's like, well, let me just get this done. You never know. And so there's a myriad of things that it could be, but unfortunately, this is still what we're left with. And
definitely, I feel like I'm missing Mark Heike's inks. He's been the inker for quite a while in this book. I am missing that somewhat. There's panels. It's funny. There's panels where it really looks like. So if you look at the top left panel of this page, you could tell that just a lot of time was spent on that inking.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like that page, like that panel looks normal.
It does.
But then when you get to the bottom stuff and it starts to become like more crammed in and less detailed, it really loses its definition.
It does. So, So, the turtles are getting everything ready for Dr. X to go inside the abdominal cavity. And, so they do that. And they're like, all right, well, Leo's still being salty about that hand, making all kinds of snide remarks. And then, I think that's a smile on Dr. X right there. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. He looks like a mess of emotions.
I mean,
right
he's probably like about to shed a little tear. He's like, it's wonderful to be mobile again.
That's true.
Look at him.
Exactly. So yeah, it is kind of sweet now that you mention it. And so Leo again is like, okay, now that we've done this about my hand, like, hey, did we forget about my hand? Because I need this, and he's like, no, I'm not getting that medal. I'm not doing that medal thing. Well, they end up putting this cap on, and on his hand, and then it turns out that it's a Swiss Army model, apparently, that's got a knife that comes out. Yeah, and that's pretty neat, and I kind of like the idea of him having a sort of just a Swiss Army hand, and it kind of reminds me of Trapjaw from He-Man, except without the attachments, because his wouldn't morph automatically.
Pop out,
he'd have to take them off and then put them back on. But like having just a hand that could be a shark fin or anything you need it to be, like that's just like wonderful.
Well, remember that time in the animated series where like they just retrofit Krang's android body to have like a rocket launcher arm?
Oh,
and we were like. And then he had the one that, he had like the mace, like the one with the mace, or like he was like just grabbing the different like arms and like putting them on. I was like, that's badass. Why don't they do that more?
I know,
that was so badass. Like, you ought to have like multi-purpose hands and arms. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it sells toys. Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, at this point, Angel has showed up, and Shadow, right?
Shadow.
Why did I say Angel?
That's her name.
Where did
I have
Angel come
no
from?
idea where you get that from.
So yeah, Shadow shows up, and she's like, "Oh hey, can I have your hand? Like, you know, if you don't want it."
Yeah. If you're not gonna use it, can I take your hand?
I kind of feel like if you just have a hand lying around, people are gonna take it. Like that's one of those things you see.
Yeah,
like, are you gonna do something with that hand? Because I wonder if that's a thing. Like our brains just think that we could always use a hand, you know, and like, I mean, you know, a helping hand, hamburger helper. Like, there's all kinds of stuff.
Hamburger helper. There's a lot of stuff going on with that.
There's a lot of stuff going on with hands.
Worms here with that. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, hands do a lot for us, and even if they're not attached, apparently. So, so Leo's like, yeah, sure, take it, Shadow. And then they're talking, and Shadow says that April wants y'all to come up because she wants y'all up there right now. Like, she means right now. She's like,
post haste.
Yeah, post haste, toot sweet. Ah, there we go. And so they're like, all right, cool, let's go. So, because more than likely they are in Michelangelo's downstairs apartment, where he lives underneath the apartment where April and Casey own that apartment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Meanwhile, less than a mile away, the check bounced. Casey Jones says, with some slicked back hair, a black shirt, and a gaping open mouth, and some eyeliner that looks like he went all out on a glow up a little bit.
It was maybe taking a trip to the Black Parade. You know what I'm saying?
Oh shit! His
you know what I'm saying?
Took him into town. Took him in to see
took him into town, boy. He was a boy. He was a young man.
He was a young man. So he's there, and goodness gracious, he does look like Gerard Way a little bit there. Like
he kind of does.
That's kind of wild. So yeah, he's like, that's impossible. The giant lizards in the sewer a while back. Remember, I'm that guy that killed them all.
Remember that guy? Remember, you look like you're crazy. That's
like,
my favorite part of this scene.
Run around talking about lizards like I killed
actually
them all?
be.
Yeah, he does.
Actually look like a crazy person.
He does.
They gave me the check, and then they had a parade in my honor, and I killed the lizards, and everyone's looking around like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like,
right, like,
you know what I mean? That's
I love it because like she has no idea what that's about, and I love that like they could even have a full-blown parade in New York that's televised, and people still don't know who you are. Like that's kind of, I mean, that might not necessarily be what they intended with this, but that's kind of what I got from it.
No, yeah, because she does go like, because she does say he looks familiar.
Okay, yeah,
you look cuter in person than on TV, but still, it's kind of like
doesn't
she's
mean
like,
anything. Yeah, no. It doesn't mean what you think it means.
It doesn't mean what you think it means.
Yeah, and so one thing I do love, especially about the artwork in this, is the marble that they got and the fixtures in the back. Like that dead ass just looks like bank. Like that's bank.
No,
walls.
It's bank.
Yeah, this is bank. And so, so this lady, she has an interesting look too. Like something about her face, something strange. But she says that he looks much better in person than on TV. And you and I have both gotten that a lot from a lot of our Turtletarians. And thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. But she says the account that the check was written on has been closed and cleaned out. By the way, there's a $20 fee for non-sufficient funds in your account, which is hilarious. So he continues to just like be like, what? No, that's not my fault.
Oh yeah. He's going full Karen on this bad boy.
Oh, absolutely. And so she hits the button, the panic button, and he's like, nope, I'm not leaving without my 10 grand. And all of a sudden the Popos show up and they just clonk him over the head, which is a little extreme for just a little bit of raised voice.
I mean,
but
ACAB.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, geez.
Yep.
And so like, but the baton kind of just looks like, now it's one thing if it's an actual baton, it's another thing if it's just a sausage that he just hits him over the head with.
That looks like one of those like shitty like Keystone Cops like clubs. It's just a club.
Yeah. Just
it's not like a Tonfa or anything cool. No, it's just like a book.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just made of wood that he's been whittling this whole time. Like, he was just he's like, I'm waiting for somebody to raise their voice in here, and gets out of his rocking chair. Because for some reason in New York they'd have a rocking chair for the security. I don't know, but
of course.
Anyway, moving on. We come back to the apartment, and it's happy birthday times, everybody. It's been a year since number one. It's been 1 year since the turtles died, basically.
So more or less.
Yeah. Surprise birthday. April's throwing a party, and so is Splinter. He's there with his burnt Cheeto and saying, happy birthday, my sons. And April's got a cake with way too many candles. I don't know. Did I count the candles? I didn't. But what...
I'm not going to.
I'm not doing math on the mic, even if I can count them. So even though, and I think, I was about to say I have enough hands for what I think it is.
Gotta be deliberate. It's probably 19.
It's probably 19 because that's what I was about to say. Is that here we have Shadow again asking, "How old are y'all?" And Mikey says, "Let's see. I guess we're about 19 years old now." So yeah. And she asks who's the oldest, and she says Leo thinks he is. But and then they ask where's Raphael. And
I'm right here, man.
Oh dang.
Happy birthday, man. I'm right here, bro. I didn't abandon you guys. I'm right here.
So they ask and then I think this is still Mikey. He's saying, where is the Foot Clan's big toe? And that's something that I don't think they've made allusions to, like, or references to members of the foot as parts of the foot. Like, like the big toe or like the little toes and stuff like that.
They've called him the big toe before.
Have they?
In this
okay.
comic, I want to say, yeah.
Okay, because I still think it's funny. I still find the humor in that, and that pleases me well. And they're asking about where's Casey too. So so they're trying to figure all this stuff out. Well, the party's going on, and April says that Casey went to get some beers and that he should be back any minute. Then Splinter says that Raph didn't return his phone calls. Like, he didn't answer him on a shell phone. So, apparently, and then Splinter goes, apparently the Foot Clan is still more important than us. All sulking.
I fucking hate that line. I stuck on that line and actually went back and read, like, the preceding, like, lines to be like, well, maybe, like, did someone else say that or something like that?
Yeah, no.
And it was him.
Yeah.
And that is the most unsplinter sad sack shit you could ever say. And
it is.
And every once in a while, it's so rare. This comic will drop a line like that. I'm just like, he would never say that.
Right. Yeah. No. And so, and then we see that Leo pulls up a thing saying, busier than us too. And it's a newspaper that says crime wave hits city. And so. And everyone's wearing hats, by the way, birthday hats. At this point, Donatello's talking about, like, I thought we'd resolved everything, but I guess we were wrong, whatever. But then this is when Shadow comes in, probably feeling the tension of, like, everyone, the mood dipping because everyone's talking about this. And she goes, presents! It's birthday presents, boys! So April comes in with some presents. They all look very similar. Like, they're almost about to get the same exact thing. And, well, sure enough, they cut into this stuff. And turns out to be a hardback book called A Rose Among the Thorns. Now, can you tell me, Ryan, this is Donatello that says that, but his hand, is that a knife coming out of his finger?
Okay. Yeah, living metal, bro.
Okay. I was just making sure because that looks wild.
It's like the multi-tool I always carry, but part of him.
Just because it's part of you.
Just jealous.
So the guys are like, oh, by Michelangelo. And apparently this is Mikey's book that got published, which is something that's been going on throughout this series where April's been sending his poems and his writings and stuff to get published. Mikey is like just ecstatic, as you should be. I
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, these are the advanced copies that sent out to reviewers and stuff like that. Apparently everyone loved it. Oprah loved it, so it's guaranteed to be a bestseller. And it's already going to
bestseller status.
Oof. Already going to a second printing. So and let's see if we can zoom in on what the cover looks like. There we go. Looks
a rose.
Yeah, it looks really rough. Covers are weird.
It's impressionistic.
It's impressionistic. Yeah. So I think that's a drawing of a rose, and then the word a rose. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And April's just totally feeling this. She is just like a proud...
Oh no, this is actually a closing of a storyline that's been going on in this comic for a really long time. This is like the fruition of all that.
Absolutely.
And spoiler alert, in a book that doesn't really close much out.
Yeah.
This is actually like one of my favorite moments in the comic because this actually closes the loop on a storyline, and I like it.
It's funny because like I enjoy that when you phrase it that way. I do agree. I appreciate that. I get hung up on the idea that like, oh, you're giving me my brother's book from my birthday that he got published. Oh, okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I couldn't just borrow it from him.
No, April is absolutely taking hers off the top. Put it that way.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, you might have to look in when the money starts rolling in, like how much of it makes its way to Michelangelo.
That's true.
I'm saying?
That's true. And so, then Splinter comes in with a excuse, please. Telephone for you, April. And so she goes to get it. And so they're talking about, so Donnie says, way to go, Mikey. You're a real writer after all. I always thought your letters to Penthouse Forum were the only things that would ever see print. And Leo's like, a love story? All of this because of, I don't know. No, we're not going to say this.
No, you can't say it. Okay, so this is what we need. This is a moment.
We got away with it one time talking about Jimmy Buffett, but that's probably the only time.
It was so long ago.
And that was forever
so long ago. And never, ever again.
Yeah.
So this comic uses the R word.
Yes.
For the mentally handicapped. That is disappointing. Really disappointing. Because it's done stuff like this before. But I don't know if this comic's ever dropped a word we wouldn't say.
I think it did one time, but I can't recall what it was.
Once again... I hate this because it's Leo saying it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make any actual sense. See, the thing about Fosco sometimes, or Carlson, sorry, he just sounds like sometimes it sounds like there's lines he wants said.
Yeah.
And he looks at who's talking and goes, Donnie said something, so Leo says it.
Okay.
Like, sometimes the line don't even like line up with the turtle.
Like their character, you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
can you imagine Leonardo being the one to say a love story? Is this all because of that blank girlfriend of yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
If that's what he'd say, that's a Raph line. I don't like Raph saying it because I don't like any of them saying that.
Right.
But with Raph, it makes more sense because Raph and Mikey had that whole back and forth going on about his writing and about, all this. They were constantly going back and forth, but it seems like, oh, well, Raph's not here.
Right.
So Leo's going to say this incredibly mean thing. This is really mean.
Yeah. And I don't think Leo had any real interaction with Sarah. So
no, absolutely not. That's the other thing. He has no interaction with her.
Not to say that it justifies him saying it, but it would mean that there would be a little bit more grounds for him having an opinion about her. But
sure, that's what I'm saying. It seems like a line that was wanted to be said, a really offensive, stupid thing to be said, and it had to be said by someone. And if anyone's going to say it, I guess it's in the room. It would be Donnie, because Donnie did interact with Sarah, probably would be annoyed and not like her because she basically was trying to get herself killed a million times with Triceratons, and he had to risk his own neck to bail her out. He'd be the one that would go, "Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Sarah. Actually, she's kind of stupid."
Right. And if you flipped the dialogue here to where Leo said the penthouse line and Donnie said this line.
And Donnie said that would make more sense.
Yeah, but
Leo would have like basically said like, "Oh, Mikey, congratulations, that's really awesome," but also a joke about Penthouse. And then Donnie, who's the cold one, would have said like, "Oh, wait a minute, is this because of that girl?"
Yeah,
which he already knows and doesn't like. So like, I don't understand the writing decision here. And I really don't like the next thing that Mikey says. But you can continue with that.
Yeah, well, but I think this started. And correct me if I'm wrong. In my recollection, I think that whenever the whole thing with the turtles getting done with Savage Dragon and they come back, and it's the beginning of all of the lizards storyline, like that thing. That's when Leo kind of changes, where he says "Sayonara to Raphael," and he's just like really upset that no one's like gonna help him figure this out and stuff like that. He starts being really mean and just like sad because his family is being weird or whatever. Or everyone else is doing their own thing, and he's still doing the same thing. That's where I started to pick up on this, where I'm like, this doesn't seem like Leo really. This seems like a little bit like, too whiny.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it started to go downhill for me, for him, or with him. But yeah, so I think that and you can tell that it looks like Shadow doesn't really appreciate what was said either. Like that's the look on
absolutely
her face.
not.
That was the look on my face when I read it. I was like,
when I read that, I was like, are we really going to talk about this?
Yeah.
Like, are they doing this again? Especially in a scene that, like, and the problem is, it's in like just a good fruition of a scene for Mikey.
Yeah, yeah.
And it should just be cool, because everyone should just be cool. But then he's got to say what he says next.
Right. And real quick,
which is awful.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of awful, we got the rest of the front, which again, the rose is up top. It says a rose and then among. Oh, no, that says among. I thought those were little thorns, Ryan. I thought those were like just thorns. Like, so he drew a rose and then he drew thorns.
So it just says a rose and then just like has thorns, and you're supposed to know that's among the thorns.
Yeah, it's like that impressionistic.
No, I'm glad you're really investigating this.
I love covers, man. Like I love covers and spine art. Like that's a thing for me. So then Mikey responds with he defends her as he should, his lady, and he says that she isn't what Leo said to her or said about
pejorative,
her.
The awful pejorative that Leo used out of nowhere for no reason.
She's just a little slow. She's nice and sweet. And she's got great hooters. And slow or not, guess who got to third base with her on that couch over there? Woo! Goodness.
I want to laugh because the second half of that, like, I actually just find that statement funny. I don't know why. Just like, well, slow or not, guess who got the third base? Like that makes you want to laugh in a sick way.
It does. Yeah.
But that's it. But that okay. And then the next panel we move on to the fat case. He's been arrested and everything, right? Yeah. So that's it. So I love that they have this moment and that they bring the book back, and Mikey was like really ashamed that like he was like kind of like ashamed that like the other turtles would find out he was writing like a romance story.
Yeah.
Then he kind of like sticks up for it, and then like Leo says this thing that makes no sense for Leo to say about her, and it's not Leo's vibe at all to hit someone like that. That's just stupid. And then of course like Mikey's got to be like, nah, like she's a little slow, but she's got big hooters. Also, I got to third base.
Yeah,
and that's it.
It does reek
like,
a little bit of
such
like
a shitty way to end that. It's such a shitty way to end that. Like
it is. But
so shitty. Why would you have her do that? Why would you have her bring out the books and I got it published for you, and it's gonna and actually she's getting great reviews, and like you're in this moment where the brothers could see the book and actually acknowledge Mikey for a minute. Why the hell would you end it on that?
Yeah. It's
rough. That R-word girlfriend of yours. Well, no, she's not R-word. She's just a little slow. By the way, I banged her.
Yeah.
Like that's so stupid.
Right.
Anyway,
well,
it's a romance story. It just makes no sense. Like it. Sorry.
No, the only justification I could find besides it being a product of its time they're 19 years old and they're their
what's
brothers.
All being said,
and
sure,
so
that's all.
That I think that's where some people like. That's where that's trying to be worked in, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't land well with me either, but I can understand that, like, yeah, they might say some stuff like that doesn't, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. I still don't like it, but being 19 and being around your brothers, I could see I could see them being a little bit more candid, but nevertheless, it seems a little weird still. It's just,
it seems like instead of Mikey, it seems like instead of a moment where April kind of like outs him more or less with all of them, instead of sticking by his guns like he always would in character, like Mikey really wouldn't apologize for anything.
Yeah.
Like Mikey would be like, yeah, no, I wrote a romance story and it's actually really good. And if you don't like romance or you don't want to read it, don't read it. But also you're missing out because it's actually a good story. I like it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Mikey would do. Mikey would be like, oh, yeah, no, it's like the best romance novel ever written. But like, fine, if you're an ignorant piece of shit, then that's great. Don't read it. Like, that's what he'd say. Yeah. But instead, it ends on him lowering himself to their level.
However,
which bothers me.
He did make out with that shapeshifter on the ship and was like, "Oh, hot turret." There's a little bit of that. So yeah. And he said some stuff there too.
I don't begrudge like obviously like someone having like the physical connection too.
Yeah.
But I just love how he wrote a romance novel about his feelings for her and then laughed it off with his bro friends.
I see what you're saying.
Yes. Well, it was just because I banged her, so.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't stick to his guns at all. In this moment where April outs him, and there's a moment for Mikey to go, you know what? I'm really proud of what I did.
Yeah.
And if you guys are like actually like too goddamn idiotic to like understand that romance novels are not gay or stupid or whatever word you're going to use for it, like then you're an asshole.
Right.
How about that, guys?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's what they're setting up.
Because it's
they're setting all that up, and then he just goes, yeah, well, she's got big hooters, so yeah. You know what I mean? And that's it.
Yeah, so I see what you mean. So instead of like him, he's kind of reverting back to being just like, I got to impress my brothers and say something that's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I get you.
And I'll make one more point. I'm sorry. I'll make one more point. And the other thing I'll say about this is like, I think one might be tempted to go, well, that's more realistic actually. Cause like, he would like, it's more realistic. This is a fictional story.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to make it play out in your head as you think it would be the most realistic that brothers would resort to objectifying this woman,
right?
After calling her, a really bad word for mentally handicapped. It doesn't have to be that way because you're the writer,
right?
So what you can do is say, actually, no. While you might think that's what's going to happen, in my story, Mikey sticks up for himself.
Yeah,
and actually really objects to what Leo said, and thinks that that's horseshit that he said that. Yeah, and you ruined the birthday party because turns out you're a bigot. It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's just like the whole thing with like sexual assault in like Game of Thrones. Everyone's like, well, it's so realistic, man. If you think about it, back in the day, it's so realistic. Yeah, there's dragons and shit.
Yeah. So like, where do you draw the line?
Like it turns out you did it.
Yeah.
Like this fictional world didn't have all this happening. You did it.
Yeah.
You made it happen.
Yeah.
And here it's three turtles, a woman and her adopted daughter, and an anthropomorphic rat. And they're hanging out with a romance novel that one of the turtles wrote about a dinosaur girl he met.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want, but you chose to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just weak.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'd be one thing if Raphael was there, and because he has already set the precedent for having said some things about women, especially Pamiko, in the early issues. So that could make a little bit more sense. But given that it's Leo and Dawn, two of the more sensitive, even toned turtles throughout, generally speaking, their history.
This is a callback.
Yeah.
This is a callback to that whole thing with him making out with that shapeshifter, and then him and Raph getting in that whole something about like Pamiko being hot or not because like Raph's like the face man or something, and Mikey's the ass man or whatever they were. This is like just following up on that. But the problem is you don't have half of the comedy duo doing that.
Because like, if Mikey's the youngest, I can see him wanting to like impress his brothers. But like we're saying, if the brother that this would appeal to isn't there, then why is it being said? And so I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that they wanted to have this kind of line there, but the turtle that would say it wasn't there, so they just appropriated it, and it kind of falls.
They just shoehorned it in.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, I'm not going to take back the fact that I like that April did this. I like that Mikey got a copy of his book. And I like that it apparently seems to be doing really well.
I love that.
That's the closure to that storyline that I choose to take. Right. The second it gets into, is that because of your girlfriend that's stupid? Like, the minute it gets into that, I'm like, those two panels are horseshit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to say it. I know that's not like the most academic way to. Those two panels really piss me off.
Well,
and that's all I'll say about it.
And the thing that pisses me off the most is the fact that she got them all the same gift, and it's Mikey's book. I'm going to stand by that.
Of course.
If you're going to die on that hill, I'm going to die on this hill. That's just wrong. Yeah, don't do that.
Absolutely.
Don't do that. That's horrible. That's horse shit to me, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Goodness. Right. If you don't agree with this, I'll help you pack. If you don't agree with the packages, I'll help you pack your packages and get the hell out.
I'll help you pack your packages.
So, yeah.
You wrote the story. You could have had April get him each a different present.
Yeah,
you wrote the story.
You totally could.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but you chose
this fictional world. Goodness. Yeah, you made this. You did this. Goodness.
Yeah, man. Look in the mirror, son, man. Look in the mirror, bro.
Look at the mirror.
Look in the mirror, man.
Look in the mirror and look who's back at you. And if you're Donatello, you'll be looking at yourself because Donatello has this new trick. Everybody.
Oh,
Donatello.
Double the Donnie, double the fun.
I'm sad that the hat didn't get duplicated, but apparently
I'm upset too.
He can make a clone of himself now, which is an interesting thing. And and I think Shadow makes the noise that I made right when we almost died in that car accident where I saw the car and I go, Eep.
Correct.
Yeah, she makes that noise right there. There's just a dupe of Dottie, which really it just looks like a husk, like kind of just like a shell of this Donnie.
It's kind of formless. I kind of weirdly like that because that's probably what it looked like.
That's true. That'd be even more weird. I do kind of like that now that you mention it. But he goes, "Don't be frightened. I just had the armor replicate itself. Duh. Filling in with metal where I have skin and bone." And he doesn't have a brain of his own, at least, and he works by remote control. And I think later I thought I read that he says he works by radio controls, like the radio waves. And I'm like, that or something. And I'm like, that's so interesting. Because now it'd be Bluetooth. He'd be Bluetooth controlled,
Oh, absolutely.
At least Wi-Fi or something.
I mean, Bluetooth's easier to hack though, but.
Oh yeah. So, but still, who knows? But Donnie's dealing with sewer technology. So they ask if it hurts, and he goes, "Not really. It takes a while to get used for the organic metal to regenerate. I can always reabsorb the metal." So that's interesting. And so all of a sudden, Splinter's like, "Oh no, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on." And he
oh damn,
he hits the dirt and is just on the ground, and he's like, "Oh, he just we were talking, and he just passed out, just dead as a doornail." And so they determined that Dr. X comes in and he goes, "Let me through. I'm a doctor." And which I don't see a stethoscope on there. So I find his credibility, I don't think Dr. Pepper's a real doctor either because they don't show a stethoscope on the can. So it's questionable.
I love that he goes ahead and gives his bona fides, though, that he earned his PhD in medicine from Penn State.
Oh, yeah.
I like that he gave his qualification in school.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You got to have that. And so he comes in and he goes, "Oh, this is the coronavirus. He's got the Rona, the COVID. He's got COVID."
No. Splinter's got coronavirus.
Right. Because I just started reviewing this. The word bubble says he's having convulsions, but convulsions is like spaced out.
It's hyphenated. It's hyphenated like they used to write coronavirus.
Right.
Remember when they used to hyphenate it back in the day?
Yeah. And so I saw that, and my brain triggered that. And I'm like, oh shit, that's funny. So anyway, Dr. X corrects. He goes, no. Look at his eyes. He's in REM mode, REM, if you will, and dreaming about something violent. He's fighting in his sleep. Hold him still. And yeah. So Ryan, why don't you continue to hold him, if you will?
I will hold him. Well, he doesn't need to be held much longer. Unlike the rabbit outside my house that I don't know what's going on with, Splinter gets right up.
Yep.
And he's like, oh man, he says, I'm fine, Leo, but I had the strangest dream that he was allied with Orokusaki, the Shredder, and he and I were trying to kill Raphael and Pamiko. And he says basically like I can barely recall it. It's already going away, basically like a dream does. And they're like, Pamiko, but that you dreamed about her before. That's weird, and like all this different stuff, and all of a sudden, like they're kind of trying to get it all figured out, and here comes Pamiko. She busts in, and I'm just tell you something. Pamiko, if you're just having a birthday party,
yeah,
when Pamiko shows up, there's two questions.
Yeah,
the first question is, bro, what the fuck kind of stripper did you get? That's number one. Like, bro, like,
yeah,
bro, I'm not into that. You know what I mean? Like, you should know me better, bro. My kids are here, bro. All right, there's that.
Oh yeah, Shadow's
you think
right
that
there.
She would eventually get like a shawl or some kind of like cool like trench coat or something? Because when she shows up, it's so goddamn intense.
It is.
Like, imagine, like she does have to like eat. I imagine she like
you would think
has to go get some food maybe at some point.
And I don't think that outfit has pockets at all. I don't think there's any.
Yeah, like you're at the hot dog stand in New York, like just running your little hot dog cart, and all of a sudden she shows up like that. You're like, oh shit! Like the whole cart falls over. You know what I mean? Like it's just the way she shows up is so like wild.
Yeah.
But also I like that in the bottom of this, if you go a little bit to the left, if you look at who I believe is I think that's Mikey. She looks like Hitler
at the top, like.
No, at the bottom, man.
No. And right here in this scene that we're seeing on the screen.
Oh my god. No, the one on the bottom looks like the one that looks like Hitler. Eric, do you see the mustache and the evil eyebrow? Do you see the Hitler of that face?
Okay, I'm zooming in now.
Do you see that?
Okay, yes, I see that now. Yes, that's Leonardo.
The second I saw that panel, I went, "Oh my god, Pamiko, why do you gotta be like that? Why you gotta be all like rangy and sinewy? Like you look awful." And then I looked over, I was like, "Oh my god, he's Hitler."
And that explains so much of why he's been the way that he's been.
So much of why he's been a jerk.
Yeah,
because that's what Hitler would have said.
And this is post Leo killing Hitler. I think didn't Leo kill Hitler in Adventures?
Absolutely. Well, he made Hitler kill himself.
Right. So Hitler, this could be a subplot that Hitler could have like repossessed Leo.
He looks like Hitler. I want to know if anyone involved in editorial or anything ever looked at that panel and goes, he looks like Hitler, but I guess it's fine. We could just put it in the comic.
Yeah.
So she comes back and she's basically saying like, your brother and I did fight. And she starts filling them in on the whole thing that's going on with the Foot Clan. Mm-hmm. How, her and Raphael duked it out initially to control the Foot Clan, but then a new challenger appeared. Someone hit that damn start button and got a third player going. And it turned out that then a lot of stuff happened. Shane showed up and he was a traitor. And like all this crap happened and they got their butts beat. So she's basically like, yeah, we lost. I escaped, but Raphael's going to die unless you come with me to save him. And they're like, oh yeah, nice try, except for one thing. And Raph's the Shredder, and she's like, oh my god, no, there's like a different woman now. She's like called Lady Shredder or like Shredderette or something like that. And she's there, and she's got the art. It all happened really fast. Yeah. I literally went from I was gonna kill your brother, then your brother could have killed me but didn't. Then the two bums said kick him out. Yeah. And then Lady Shredder showed up, and then Shang was like, oh yes, master, I'm the medicine man. No, I'm not. I'm gonna kill you. And it's just a lot happened. But the part I said earlier is the most important because Raph's gonna die unless we go help. And they're like, and she just zooms out.
Yeah.
I imagine that's the only way that Pamiko in that bottom panel is the only way that she can ambulate. Like I like to imagine that like if she's like in the living room, she's like, oh, let me just go hit the bathroom before we go.
Yeah, just gone. Just gotta go fast. She's like Sonic.
I'm back. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I got a present for you for you in the other room.
Yeah.
This is what I imagine.
Oh yeah.
But the girls decide, is it a trap? Is it not? But eventually, Mikey's like, well, who cares? Like, I'm in. Yeah. Like, we gotta go save Raph. So they all decide to go do this. So on the roofy tops, they show up and they see on the rooftop, quite the scene. You know what I'm saying? You got Lady Shredder with got Raph all tied up in a compromising position.
Yep.
You've got those two hunks from the Council of Five or whatever it is. They're there. A bunch of traitor ass foot ninjas are there that turned on Raphael. You got Shing is there. Everybody's there, right? Yeah. And it's just a whole thing where she's basically saying, like, Lady Shredder saying, look, you can't be allowed to go free because you know too many foot secrets. But yes, that's right. Foot secrets. You know, way too many of my foot secrets.
Too many
that's all there is to it.
Too many of them.
But you should declare your loyalty to us, and you can just live with us, basically, because or else we're gonna kill you.
Right.
I mean, based on how things were going, that's actually relatively fair.
It is. Like they keep changing their mind on him a lot. Like they're like, well, actually,
they do.
You did really good. Better than I thought. Okay.
Like the Foot Clan are like, why can't I quit you and all this shit. Anyway, so now, what do you think Raphael's gonna say to that? Raphael's like, "Don't make me laugh, you bitch," and he's like really upset. Yeah, and he's basically like, "Oh yeah," and like, so I'm gonna pledge my loyalty. I think she like this point. He's like, "So I'm gonna pledge my loyalty to you, and then also serve beside these traitorous dogs that turned on me."
Yeah,
and then went with you. Like, no, like loyalty doesn't mean anything around here. So the answer is nah, son. And of course, Shing's like, oh, he made his decision, kill him. And that's when all of our heroes show up. All four of them. Drop in.
Yep.
Fight. All this stuff's going on.
We get a cowabunga.
Leo show. Yeah, there's a good old cowabunga in there for a good old time's sake. You got, Leo somehow like slips in between Raphael and Lady Shredder. I think that he like kind of went like through Raphael's legs and like stood up in front of him. That's funny.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
But he pops up and so he does have a pretty funny line. So he's like, so what are we supposed to call you, babe? Iron Maiden, Mrs. Shredder, the Shredress?
Iron Maiden is great.
Yeah.
What'd you call her earlier? You called her Shredderette.
Shredderette, yeah. I wish they would have had that one. But yeah, you gotta get through me to get to Raphael, right? So like, and she's like, oh, have it your way. And the name is Lady Shredder, but Shredder will suffice since I'm not always ladylike. And I'm like, okay. Okay. That's fine.
This is my favorite part. Page. I love this part here.
Turn the page and the inking gets way better on this page. It's like wild. It's wild how much better the inking is. And so basically Raph's caught in the chains and he hears snap. He's like, what? Oh my God, am I super strong? Am I badass? Am I doing that like mom lifts the car off a baby type thing?
Yeah.
No, it's Donnie.
It's Donnie.
Who's like, nice bolt cutters, huh? Look, I can make it talk. And he's like, hi, Raph, how you doing? Like,
oh my God.
Like, that was like super funny to me. That was hilarious.
I love that so much. This is the humor that they nailed. Like, because this shows up throughout this series.
It does.
And this brought me back, and it was worth all my pennies. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
Hey, Raph.
Yeah, no. Hi, Raph, how are you? It's really funny. And then he's like, Donnie, cut the crap and this other chain. I'm like, there you go. Let's transition.
Yep.
So they cut the chain.
Yeah.
And Raph's got some catching up to do. He's like, wait a minute, how are there two of you? He's like, no, it's just a copy I made. I control with radio controls. And he's like, what? And Raph's like, cool. I'm gonna go actually real fight people. And that's what he does, dude. Brutal on the top of this page. Pamiko just gutting this Foot Clan elite, just like right through.
Yeah.
And apparently when Mikey fights, it sounds like Fozzie Bear.
Waka waka.
Because it goes waka waka waka.
I missed that. That's so
yeah,
good.
that's pretty great. So I mean, I would have tried to master the nunchucks way earlier if I knew they made waka 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 sounds.
Me too.
I mean, that's
100%.
I really feel like I was lied to. I
would have been a fellow chucker.
Oh, absolutely would have been a fellow chucker. So they're kind of fighting around, and of course you got Lady Shredder kind of going against Leo. And it's interesting because like he doesn't have his hand, you know what I mean? He doesn't have left hand, so he's like, "Oh my god, what am I gonna do?" And this is where he starts this conversation, which I'm just gonna spoiler. It's like really disappointing, because he starts kind of asking that question like, "Who are you?" Because you act like I know you, and she's like, "Oh, you don't recognize me? Oh, I'm her," you know? And it's like, what? Like, you know what I mean? But she does disarm Leo, and then Leo pulls that stump forward and basically ejects his like multi-tool sword right into her abdomen. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty brutal. I like that. It's like a stiletto. It's scary. Yeah. And then so there's a big struggle ensuing. But one thing that happens is Donnie burned up like a dingle piece of toast because he decided to do this like whole, oh, look, I could double myself trick.
Right.
In an actual fight that matters.
Yeah.
And it turns out that when the metal is like gone from his body, he gets like wore out really easy. He gets like super tired.
And one thing one thing I missed a couple pages back in regards to that is that Donnie's head gets cut off on one of those dupes.
Yeah.
Like
he does say, "Oh, I lost one,"
and I didn't notice that the first time I read this, and I'm like, "Oh, snap!"
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so that could be playing into the fact too why he's like feeling like things aren't right.
Oh.
Like that could also have something to do with this.
Maybe like if you cut the head off, you like separate the living metal into like one more piece.
Yeah.
Maybe the idea is like the more pieces he has separated, the more he has to like control them, or he has to like it takes from him. That's weird.
Or he like feels it, or like somehow he just feels like a separation or something.
Something happens. Yeah. He says, got
to pull himself.
He just basically says, what?
He's got to pull himself together. That's what he said. Like
he doesn't. He doesn't pull himself together. Yeah. So he runs into himself and reabsorbs the body. And now he's like, oh, now I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's all fixed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Time to stomp some little toes.
I don't know what it is. Time to stomp some little toes. So he's reinvigorated now, and he runs, and he looks like he does stomp on their little toes.
Oh yeah.
Now we have this confrontation. So we've got Raphael and Shane because they're like getting down. And if you were curious, because Shane did say some things like a while back, like during the initial betrayal last issue, where he was kind of like, well, I kind of always wanted to be a Foot Clan master, and like his angle sounded not like justified, but a little bit of like, yo, dude, I've been like kind of ready to be a master for like a really goddamn long time. Like I'm an old man, dude. I've been like, I've been doing this since like Hamada Yoshi's era. Like I kind of like looking for my promotion, and it's a little bit one of those things where it's like, look, I'm gonna apply and you apply, and like, I guess I got the job, so I'm sorry. Like I'm sorry it happened to you, but you know what I mean? Because it's like we both want the promotion kind of thing. That's you could interpret some of the things he says that way, right? But you can't now.
No.
You can't do that now because your boy admits to it straight up that there is no place for garbage like you in the Foot Clan. And he says he's, I'm already a ninjutsu master to start with.
Right.
But it turns out I stole all of this business from your master. And Leo's like, or Raph's like, pardon? And he's like, oh, absolutely. Because basically what, long story short, what went down is they kind of get it going is that initially all that Shane really wanted was Raph's powers, like Raph's skill.
Yeah.
And he could already get that from the astral plane. So he's like, we're good. I'm going to get that from the astral plane. But he says basically like, you served your father up on a platter because then you guys had to start screwing around with all this bad dad and all this stuff happened in the astral plane. He's like, then you just basically gave me like a connection straight to him. So we find out, and this is one of those storylines that get you going because you're like, oh, this actually would have been like a really good storyline.
Yeah.
Where now Shang has the power. He's tapping into Splinter's life force. This is basically what's happening. And he's sucking the life force out of him little by little, which is why Splinter passed out earlier. It's why Splinter's been feeling woozy for a while, actually. Like, this does go back. Like, they wanted to do something. And he said, no, I've got to rest. Like, after he turned, you thought, oh, well, that's just because he, went from bad dad to rad bat dad. But that's not true. Sorry, from bad bat dad to rad rat dad. That's not what happened. Actually, Shang was taking all of his actual radness. Life force.
Yeah.
And his radness. And he's learning the literal skills. So it's basically like fighting like Splinter, which is like wild. Like wild. And it's pretty crazy. But right when Shin's in the middle of talking shit, he's like right in the middle of it, he's like, yeah, and I took your dad's shit, and now I'm better than you, and you can never beat your dad's ass. I'm gonna beat your ass. And all of a sudden, everybody runs away but Shang. Like, literally, Shang is like the only guy left. And he's like, oh shit. And they're like, yeah, you good enough against 5 of us, asshole? And he's like, I think not. Ninja vanish. And he says, this is a trick I learned from Orokusaki, the real shredder. And he throws out what they think is a thermite grenade, which does go all the way back to the beginning from that volume 1 issue 1.
Yep.
A baby.
Goodness.
Well,
I love
yeah.
I love that Shredder taught him this trick. That, like, at some point in his training, it's like, now you're ready.
Like, they were hanging out.
It's like, you've passed all of this. Now it's time. Let me show you.
Now you're ready.
If you're outnumbered, just reach in and get this thermite grenade, and then throw it, and then cackle, and then just disappear.
Everything's gonna go.
Everything's gonna go boom. And he's like, okay,
well, I love it too.
How do you practice that?
Well, it's a trick you only do once.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously, it didn't really work out for Shredder.
It did not.
So I love it that he had to have taught Shang that trick a long time ago.
Yeah.
And probably before the last one that killed him, right?
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Like I wonder if Shredder had that thought right when he did it. He's like, oh, this is like what I've been showing Chang how to do. Yeah. Like right when he did it.
Or I wonder if that's how Shredder got out of like every situation. Except we just saw the one time that it like really backfired. Like, real bad.
Yeah.
Interesting. So well, the turtles are awesome in this because they're like, oh, I've seen this thermite grenade movie before. Like, Donnie turns his arm into like a rocket launcher and they shove it in there and they shoot it out. But it turns out, kerblammo, just cool fireworks.
Yeah. Sneaky Shang.
And of course, while they're distracted by that, Ninja actually vanished, right? So he's out. So effectively, what you kind of have going on here is the turtles kind of just it's the mop up. Everybody's gone, right? Like everyone's running away or have already slinked away or are dead. And kind of rough, like Raphael's bringing up the whole I forgot the Twin Towers are in this page. That's crazy.
Oh, snap.
The one with the kerblammo. Damn.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate in 99 because they ain't got long left.
They ain't got long left. No.
That's close. You know
right there.
That wasn't too long.
Yeah.
That wasn't too long.
No.
Yeah.
Goodness.
That's
wild to think about that.
It's weird when you read comics like or whenever you see a cartoon from like the 80s and you're like, all right, yeah, Twin Towers, of course. But when you go like October 99, you're like, that's a couple years off.
Yeah.
Like that's not far off.
No.
You ever want to feel old, Turtletarians? If you're our age, ask someone where were you on 9/11 and wait till they go like, well, okay, I was in pre-K, and you're like,
oh yeah,
stop talking to me.
Nope, done.
Stop talking to me. Anyway,
yeah.
So so he starts bringing up this whole Lady Shredder business, and he's basically saying like she had to like we were supposed to know who she was and all this stuff. And and Raphael's like covered in blood, and he's like, I'm about to go fight everybody and all this stuff. And honestly, Leo's once again like the voice of reason. after he just called Sarah an awful name and all that terrible stuff. Now he's like, let him go. We came to rescue you, and we did. The foot will still be here tomorrow. Right now, there's someplace more important we need to be at the party, and effectively they start running off like toward the party, basically. Donnie's looking to go back and look at Casey's mugshot because they figure that Casey's been bailed out of jail at this point.
Yeah.
Mikey's got to go get that pizza and beer because beer's getting warm and pizza's getting cold. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. And kind of a cool scene with Raph and Pimiko because Leo says like, Pimiko can come if she wants, if she's not gonna like actually fight us again because that always happens. And Raph does say like, what do you say, Pimiko? Fighting her family. And Pimiko's like, is it really your birthday? Which I think is a very relevant question to ask. Like seriously.
Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah, you know what? Like, I've been fighting all my life. For once, I like to try the family bit. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting. It's a little clean, but I like it. It's cute. And she's like, yeah, tomorrow we'll show the foot what a poor decision it made today.
Yeah.
And then in the bottom right corner, it says, never the end.
The end.
Because it's the end.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew it.
Oddly enough.
They knew it for several issues that the comic was canceled after this.
Yeah.
So do we want to get in? Do we want to like do our normal like what we thought about the issue, or do we want to just get into Image?
Let's just get into Image, and we can tie in our thoughts on the things that happen this issue. I feel like, and that would be a fair wrap up.
So we're entering the basically portion of our program, which if you didn't know, we have at the end of every year for the last, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
We've done these basically episodes that cover everything that we did all year. And the idea is like, hey, if you just want a refresher, if you want to catch up with the podcast and listen to new episodes, you can go back and listen to these, so basically volume 1, 2, 3, just keep listening. And you'll basically get our opinions on everything we've covered pretty much.
Yeah.
But also it's all, it's funny because people, we don't know if people use it or not for that purpose, but it's become just a chance for us to kind of settle in at the end of the year and just like talk about what we did, just talk about the year in Turtle Soup and the Turtle franchise and stuff. This year is a really rare exception because it is the only year that we've practically only covered one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was all 23 issues of this, plus I believe one issue of Body Count, the second issue of Body Count,
I think
or something like that is how we started the year. The last issue of Body Count.
Yeah, I think number 4.
So, Body Count, is an interesting thing, and
it does kickstart Image.
Like British. It does kickstart Image. So it's still the handover.
Yeah.
So that's where we started, right? The handover between Mirage and Image. Mirage shuts down publication due to primarily a flood. In their basement facility where they were printing the comics and stuff like that. They lost a lot of assets and and sales were kind of anyway. And it felt like, all right, let's stop.
Yeah.
You have Body Count that was originally published by Mirage. And then is also republished by Image, right? The same comic, different covers. The Image covers are better because it has the Casey and the American mask.
That's one of the
it's like one of the best covers,
things.
TMNT covers ever, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then so that obviously Body Count's a very different comic than Image. It is super British counterculture, gross, big. Almost imagine Steve Dillon, but with a lot more blood and craziness, and it's very intense.
Yeah.
It's a very different vibe.
It is.
But I think talked a little bit about Body Count in the last, so we'll kind of leave that there. So Image, the Turtles find themselves injected into the Image universe, which at the time is gangbusters. Like Image Comics is huge. Image is still huge. Image is one of the best comic companies going now for independent producers. Like it is, like a beacon of light in the comics industry.
Oh, absolutely.
And Image truly is the third of the big three.
If I see Image on the masthead, I'm instantly like, okay, there's quality there. That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'd have no doubts that I'll get my money's
And
worth.
and
have no doubts that I'll get my money's
and
worth.
and it's cool because the turtles have a place in that whole story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they find themselves crossing over with Savage Dragon in this
Yeah.
series. And also encountering a lot of different characters from the larger dragon verse, as they call it. But sadly, due to low sales and other priorities and stuff like that, the series was like abruptly ended.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard to tackle this because you and I had heard a lot about Image and stuff before we covered it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And mainly I heard bad things.
Yeah.
Like I mainly heard that like a lot of really weird stuff happens and that it ends awful. That's the only things I ever heard about Image.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, on the whole, Image is pretty great. Like on average, it's pretty great.
Yeah, there's more that I like about it than I hate about it.
Yes.
But one thing I wanted to touch on is that why did it not sell well? Because do you think it was literally just because like the animated series had ended a couple years before this, and then Turtle Mania was kind of hitting that the valley, and I think that had something
Turtle
to do
Mania
with it.
starts to die in about 94. You have a lot of stuff that comes out in 94. Like I want to say the Batman animated series.
Somewhere in there,
X-Men Night.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Men cartoon came out in 94.
It's 92, I think, is when that came out.
92 is when that came out.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what it is now? I'm getting mixed up with the X-Men relaunch in 94. X-Men #1, that was 94. The X-Men animated series was 92.
If I'm not mistaken, all these things, one way or the other, the 90s X-Men.
Either way.
Yeah.
90s X-Men, Gargoyles, Darkwing Duck, all the Disney stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Things are picking away at them in the mid 90s, and I think that the sad tale of Image was that they were too close to the first wave of Turtles. Actually,
I see what you mean. Yeah,
they were too close to it. Like the fire was going out, it was starting to cool, and unfortunately, they were just starting. Right, like this comic run starts in 96. They just started, man. And it's already cooling down. Now that can look like opportunity, right? Because you tell yourself, like, I believe that, the staff at Image, that was their whole idea was like, you know what? Fine. The toys, the cartoon, who gives a shit? Like we're making the real shit. Like the real Turtles. Like Mirage has been gone forever. Meaningful Mirage has been gone for a long time. Like we're bringing it back. It's all new. We're going to lend the Image universe to it. We're going to push it, whatever. And it's just the right time for it to turn the page.
Yeah.
What I don't think that Eric Larson and company knew, that I think you can only know in hindsight,
right,
is that the Turtles don't work like that.
No.
The Turtles work in waves.
Yeah.
It's almost like a forest that needs to like be so beautiful and then burn down, and then it has to be ashes for a while before it can grow back. Like, you can't just keep it running. Right. And I think that things like Image and the Next Mutation, they were all victims kind of like, we didn't know how the Turtles thing worked yet.
Right. And to their credit, like you look at other mutant related properties like the X-Men, like that's the next biggest mutant related thing. And they have been running for like decades and still going, and they'd have a cartoon and it would come and go, and they'd still be making comics and selling toys and doing all this fun stuff. And so I think that they probably were trying to get the Turtles in that kind of a vibe. But you're right. Like, as we've seen, there's ebbs and flows, and almost like seasons, like you're saying, you kind of have to just let it go, and then it comes back like a couple years later, and it's all the better for that time away. And it's strange how that works that way. But and yet X-Men can have comics coming out like consistently for like 60 years, and you're just like, oh, but then these mutants, they can't do that. It's very, very, very interesting to think about. But
different. It's weird how the Turtles don't work. Although I will say, right, I mean, I think that different Marvel heroes have their times in the sun. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
I think that there is an era of like Avengers is all that hot shit. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, now X-Men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a while where like Fantastic Four were like the biggest thing going, and then that kind of faded away, right? Like Iron Man. Like I think everyone had their moments in the sun as far as like I'm sure sales numbers go. I'm sure if you were to look at Marvel sales, you would see a bunch of little dips and hikes in all the different lines. But Marvel has an entire panoply of characters to work with.
Yeah,
they don't
I like that word.
They don't suffer.
Yeah,
when it's like their only comic is Iron Man,
right?
And if Iron Man's kind of played out, like you know what I mean, like
but that's what I was thinking
for them,
right? That's why I was thinking
they can do
that
other
they
things.
were wanting to get them in the Dragon universe and like have them in there, and I think
Yes.
they work well in the Dragon universe. I thought I enjoyed there were some good episodes or issues in the Dragon universe this time around, especially, but
there were.
It was a Savage Dragon a little bit, and
it was a Savage Dragon
mostly when Dragon wasn't in it. When you get your boy, I forget what his name is, but the
Death Watch.
Oh well, there's
Johnny
Death Watch,
Lee Rayburn.
But what was the hero? It started with a V, didn't it? The guy that was in the watch that had his own spaceship and that was making out with.
Oh my god, that was making out with the reporter.
Vanguard, was that his name? Yeah, I think that was. Yeah, that was just it. It had potential, but it had
potential.
I was already like when you get his crew and you get like the shapeshifter and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit interesting. But
I know from research that Gary Carlson was instructed by Eric Larson to do the Death Watch storyline. And that he initially had reservations about doing it because he wanted to focus more on a turtle-centric storyline because they had already kind of had a storyline with like the King Komodo and all that stuff like that. And that was the first arc. And he was concerned that if they went and visited Dragon, but then that led to this whole other story arc, because Death Watch was a Gary Carlson created character. That's a character that he created. Yeah. And Eric Larson was like, yeah, put that in the book. And he was like, but I don't know if I want to. Now, this is all just based off of like interviews I've read. So, correct me if I'm wrong or but feel free to fact check me on this.
Oh yeah.
But that Gary Carlson said that he had some misgivings about it because he wanted to focus on more of his own ideas for the turtles to make it more of a turtle-centric like next arc.
Yeah.
When I read that, I was kind of like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense because I think that's where this comic runs off.
Okay. Yeah.
That comic really slows down on Death Watch.
It does.
That's like, those are the issues that I know we read and we were just like, why?
Yeah.
And then it'd be like next issue. Oh, well, now we're in Johnny Lee Rayburn's hometown. And I'm like, are we?
Yeah.
Are we really following this guy?
Yeah.
We went to go visit Dragon for a sec because he thought that there were vampires and our dad's a bad bat dad. So maybe vampire would be a thing we'd be wanting to look into. It turns out, no, it's John Lee Rayburn, a guy who diddled kids, went off to space. Jimmy Carter sent his ass to space like a dang old piece of toast. And then he found a xenomorph technology alien boy who made a symbiote suit out of his ass. And then he flew the ship back. Like, they flew the ship back.
Yeah.
I love it because it's a NASA ship. It's like it's like a capsule. I'm like, how do you fly it back? Like, it only has enough propulsion to go one way. It's how NASA works. You don't just have extra fuel in the tank. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a thing.
No.
Anyway, but he flies it back, and then the guy, and this is the indictment. This is the real indictment. The other guy from the Savage Dragon universe who's supposed to be in orbit, and his whole job is monitoring low Earth orbit for like alien crap. So that like they know they have to deal with like a Brainiac situation. He's just come beaming down, like, oh look, I'm gonna enter your atmosphere. Oh, now I'm Brainiac. Like that kind of situation. Like now he's like, he was too busy making out with Roxanne Wells.
Yes.
Boom.
Good job.
There's a name.
Right off the dome.
With Roxanne Wells, too busy making out with like an Earthling reporter to know. And that's when you're like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
and I understand his reticence, because that's when the comic was kind of at its worst and at its slowest.
Absolutely.
Was you're like, turtle, what's happening with the turtles again? They're what? And they kind of wrapped Donnie into it. Remember that? Where like Donnie like dies when he faces down Rayburn the second time, but then it turns out that he didn't die, because then they got the CPU, the AI CPU went into the other Savage Dragon character that we can't remember the name of and don't care about and we're never introduced to, and then he flew off into nothing, and that's just a plot thread, and then all of a sudden Donnie's really Donnie. Like, this is the part of the comic I think was the roughest.
Yeah, I agree. But once they got rid of that AI, I think that just made everything better. I liked the idea of it, but it just was too slow. I think it fell victim to the Johnny Lee Rayburn stuff. That if the Johnny Lee Rayburn stuff, Death Watch stuff, had not been a factor, or it was like maybe 2 issues and then we're out, and then you do the AI stuff, I think that would have been way cooler, and it would have worked better. But then it was just a sigh of relief once Donnie's back to still being himself, but there's still some questions. I liked that a lot. I loved the Galahad stuff. Like when we read Big Bang comics. Remember Big Bang?
Like, yes, we were Big Bang.
Big Bang.
We were Big Bang.
I love Big Bang.
That was good. No,
so good.
Like Big Bang comics, like they're actually like cool as shit. Like they're like a whole like, and they've been doing that retro throwback comic thing for a long time, and they were involved with Image, and they were in the universe, which is just so cool.
And
that was really cool.
Again, shout out to TMNT Entity for putting us onto that, because we probably wouldn't have known that was a thing to look into if we hadn't used them as a resource. So definitely shout out to them and check them out. But yeah, and then I loved the Pamiko stuff, was cool. The Bat Splinter stuff went on a little too long, but I think that went on a little too long because of, again, Death Watch.
Because of Rayburn.
Yeah.
Because of Rayburn. Dude, it was like a 3-issue situation, I want to say. Yeah. And it was just like the forever time.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, Bad Bat Dad's still floating around. They're not solving Bad Bat Dad.
No, yeah, while that's going on.
That's the part that kills me. It's like they're looking for their dad, and that's like literally like from the first arc where it's like everyone gets wrecked. Like Raph loses half his face, Donnie a ding old piece of toast. All this stuff goes down, and Donnie's supposed to be dead, but his soul's dead. But this is just a robot who took his information. Now he's Robo Don. He's an asshole, and all this stuff. And we gotta find Bad Bat Dad, man, because he's just out there. And then Rayburn, it is like a record scratch, right?
Yeah,
absolute record scratch.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree. I think Bad Bat Dad was cool, but it was extended way too long, right? Like I think now, imagine you're having a problem with sales.
Yeah.
So you're going to go buy a Turtles book, and it's the second issue that they're looking for Kid Diddler. Kid Diddler. Kid Diddler Tech Venom.
Yeah.
That's basically what he was. He was basically
pretty much
like Xeno Venom Tech Man.
And I think
that's what it was.
I think that what didn't help that storyline was the art. The fact that it was black and white and what they were doing with it, with his character. No. It didn't really work. And at least it didn't do anything, any favors for it. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what else.
I had a point I wanted to make about the series that on reflection. What I will say that's really good about Image, and why I'm glad I read it, is now even though after this, Peter Laird, who winds up having control over the Turtles property himself,
right,
winds up, because of the fact that the comic didn't end. And things had gone really, really far out.
Yeah.
Wound up basically declaring that none of this was canon. And that a forthcoming Mirage run, another Mirage run of comics would re-wrangle and re-kick off the canon Turtles again.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say that this stuff is still non-canon. I mean, according to the creators.
Yeah.
But it contained probably some of the best character evolution that any comic has with the Turtles has contained. Actually,
Yeah,
that's what I think it really brought to the table.
okay.
Was now granted, not all of them are created equal.
Right.
All right, so we can talk about this a little bit. So of the Turtles, okay, and the Turtles are the ones that really get focused on here. You've got Donnie, right? So Donnie gets body broken, winds up being saved by a cyborg organism that jumps off of a hitman, basically a cyborg hitman, and onto him.
Yeah.
And he struggles with his humanity. He struggles with a lot of stuff. He's trapped inside a machine for a while, but then when he comes back and he's like regular Don, but he's just Robo Don, he does have to figure his body out, and his brothers are like kind of freaked out by him,
as you should be.
And he's very physically different.
Oh,
but Donnie has to like kind of struggle through that, right? I think Donnie's the least of Donnie and Leo got the least of it, but there is a struggle. Okay.
Donnie and Leo got the least of what?
Of the character development.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed
from
that.
this comic, right? They get the kind of the least of it, but like so there's Donnie. You've got Leo, who I think struggles with being a leader because at this point, like the Turtles really are broken up.
Yeah.
Like and him and Raph's relationship has devolved to like almost nothing.
Right.
It's almost like not at all a thing.
Yeah.
And he loses his hand eventually, and he has to kind of deal with that. I think that they were probably setting him up for more an adverse situation with that hand and not having the hand. I think that was probably to come. But Leo and Raph got some awesome work in this book. Like the Mikey. So Mikey's the focusing on Mikey being a writer was huge. The fact that they had Shadow get kidnapped and on Mikey's watch, and you see Mikey like kind of fall apart throughout that whole thing,
that
was
great.
Super badass.
Awesome.
Super good. His relationship with Sarah, I think that's really neat. I think that
absolutely.
I really hate that it was betrayed in the last issue. I think it's really annoying.
I'm just really glad he got to third base. Like, I'm glad that he got to third base.
Right on that couch, right there, right in April's apartment.
Right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right on April's couch.
Right on her couch. In front of her and her dad, or his dad, just right there in the next room with the burnt Cheeto. So, just hey.
And he's like, leave the door open a crack. And
yeah.
They're like, nah, son.
Nope.
So Mikey, I really like the writing thing. I like how they kind of played that in subtly. I like him, and then of course there's Raph is the real feature. This was just the volume of Raph, basically.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Absolutely.
As far as character, Raph's character, that's masterful. Having him like kind of assume the mantle of the Shredder was awesome.
It was.
It was so good.
They
really dealt with that? I love that.
Do you think that is partly what Leo is upset about, because he's got his own, Raphael has his own Foot Clan, and Leo wanted to be like a ninja master and like have his own, be a leader?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Raphael is his team is unifying under Raph, and Leo's is falling apart under him. And not only and it kind of feels like, not only did he lose his hand, but he also lost his foot.
See what I'm saying? Losing all kind of opinion. No, I get you there. That was a good one.
Yeah,
also, I mean, and that is a good point you make, because Raphael just becomes an undisputed master of a clan.
Yeah.
And Leo's not even that. He's just middle management, because Splinter is the master of that clan.
And so, arguably April is the master of Splinter. I would make that argument. You know what I'm saying? Because I can see April taking Splinter. Like, all April's got to look. She just gets to look at Splinter.
April's running everybody's shit. Let's just
especially in this run. Oh yeah,
Image Run, because Casey falls right in line too.
He does. Yeah. So
no, it's a good point. And that's like what I think I'll look back on Image. I think maybe the most for that I'll take away from it is Raph's story. And just the prospect of him becoming becoming the Shredder.
Yeah.
Like, that was badass.
It was.
And another point in Image's cap, or point, a feather, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
One analogy only, please, at a time. I think that, how do I put this? So one point to Image's credit is that they actually gave us a explanation for how in the future Raph has an eye patch.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Because Mirage has him in a future timeline with an eye patch on.
Right.
Archie shows him. Archie Adventures shows him in the future in the Turtle Code timeline with an eye patch. And Image actually said, "You want to play that game? That's cool. Here's how he gets the eye patch." And it happens right now.
That's cool. I didn't think about that.
Gotta give him credit for that.
You gotta give him credit. And honestly, if any of the turtles are gonna poke their eye out, it's probably gonna be Raph or Mikey.
Absolutely.
But I think Raph wins that one. But yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, the thing I'm gonna take away, the biggest thing, again, the whole Raph thing, the Shraff thing, Shredder, Shraffiel, yeah.
Shraffiel, yeah.
That was great. Mikey being the writer, which Mirage touched on a little bit with some of his. There's more to him.
They did,
and they kind of doubled down here, which I loved. Because I remember reading the. I can't remember if it was actual Mirage going to Northampton and then being there like after the foot attack the second time around, or if it was the movie adaptation. One of the two, or both. Really showed Mikey in a more serious
light,
and had him.
That was the movie. That was the movie adaptation comic.
Okay, because they, I think one did it more than the other, but they nevertheless they still solidified or codified Mikey as being more than just a party dude, and I loved this whole thing with that.
Yes,
I really liked the Triceratons coming back. That
was
actually
huge.
Scary.
Triceratons and Utroms.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
Like once they the whole King Komodo thing was actually kind of scary. Like not like I'm like losing sleep over it or anything, or like looking around corners for Komodo dragons. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But as far as
you were sleeping with a guitar case propped up against your door.
Yeah,
for
but the lights all on. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's not calling my dad or anything.
To you.
Being like, Dad, are the Komodo dragons outside? But nevertheless, there was intensity there, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. But the other thing is, and it's very subtle, but the through line of it was the humor, the comedy that gets put in this.
Yeah,
it's not the 90s, like the degrading women and using certain words. That the humor that they tried to do with that. The humor, like we saw in this issue with "Hey Raph, how are you?" and he's doing the thing with the call.
That's hilarious.
That was hilarious. And then the Mako from like the first bunch of issues, the shark guy, or was he a shark? Yeah, he was a shark. That was wonderful. I loved that so much, and that just like it was just the right amount of like humor and levity to just really, I don't know, endear me to this book. And so many of the beats were there, and I just overall I really enjoyed it. And then this one too, with like the ending with Pamiko kind of coming back around, like it feels a little rushed. But like I knew that they were doing it. This was gonna happen. Like I knew that the writing was on the wall.
She's gonna get on the fold. I like that. I like it. It's funny how it feels at the end of this a little bit like a Ninjara analog.
Oh,
and it's also Raph. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
Like, you know what I mean? Like Raph starts out with a very like rough relationship with this woman who's a badass,
right?
And eventually they're like fighting on the same side, and then maybe eventually, like that's interesting.
It is, especially if they start calling her family, and then they start getting feelings.
No,
because they're in the north. They're in New York. That stuff down here in the south, that's fine. That's every day. You know what I'm saying? But up there, I don't think y'all do that. So but what happens in the sewers stays in the sewers, I guess.
Ooh.
So now I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we wanted to touch on again.
I think
this run has some of the best covers. Like at least like
I really enjoyed it.
Out of all of the 80s and 90s Turtles books, these are some of like the top 15.
Image has some of the best, absolute best covers.
Yeah,
totally.
They also have
totally, and I want to give big props to like Gary Carlson and Frank Fosco and all the guys that worked on the book. I mean, like parts of it didn't age well, parts of it were really kind of decompressed. It wasn't great, but also it's like the first 23 issues of a comic book. Like you look and go back at like how long other comics runs had to get it right, and like they didn't have a lot of time. I mean, like by when you're in the early 20s of Adventures, which you and I mean, that's just like holy relics to us. Like Adventures is awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to go back and see what issue 23 of Adventures is, but I'll tell you this: there's not a lot going on still. Like it's getting good, it's getting all right, but they needed time to set things up, So I feel like that and the fact that I think it was just a little too much Image universe that was trying to kind of rope them in, maybe get some other sales going or trying to tighten it to get up, but it just didn't work out. And like I said, I think the thing I'll remember this series most for is that Shredder, that Raphael, and the fact that like it was good. It was a good return to black and white comics. It had humor, didn't stand up too well to time, but and then some out of character stuff that was just kind of annoying.
But that moment, like you said, with Shredder, like the finding the armor, that was fantastic.
That was like so damn good.
Yeah,
that was so good.
So good.
And it gave us Bad Bat Dad and Rad Rat Dad. I mean, like that alone is worth the time.
Anytime we can get a Splinter moniker, like another jab at Splinter, like I love all that. So that's been great.
But we'll definitely be talking more about Image probably on our live stream coming up because we definitely want to hear your feelings on it and stuff. I know that we had a good number of listeners like M. Wilson and stuff who were like, this was like their jam and they were really into us reviewing it. So we'll definitely like if you could tune in next week, check the socials, check Facebook and all this stuff for like an Insta when we'll be going live. If you want to get in on the conversation, you can do that, or you can reach us at turtlesoupshow@gmail.com. You know what I'm saying? Or write us an email. What do you think about Image? You know what I'm saying? Like what's your story? You can check us out on all the socials. I'm trying to roll us out, but I can't remember. I got messed up on the order because I talked about with the Facebook group. We're on Instagram, Twitter. We've got obviously the hotline. You know what? We're not on Twitter.
No. We might still have a thing there, but I've not used Twitter in years. But
okay. And this is why I normally do this part. And then obviously home of the internet, turtlesoupshow@gmail.com or turtlesoupshow.com. That is where all of our episodes are. And remember, check out the YouTube thing. Like I said, we're not live again yet. But that time draws near. And I think that there's still room for us to do some like live streams where we read emails, hang out, and stuff like that. Stuff is a little bit more low impact for me as far as my eyes, which are healing. They are slowly healing, little by little. But it just takes forever. Apparently, it's so annoying. But I just want to tell you guys here at the end of the year that I usually have like about 10 seconds where I get sentimental. It's been a great year for me with this show, despite the fact that I lost months of it with my eyes. And thanks for watching us on YouTube. Thanks for being really supportive of that. Everybody that came out to the live streams and stuff, like, and that were in the chat, it was huge.
Absolutely.
It's so much cooler to live stream and stuff and have people in there, in the chat, and then you go and you check it and so Eric will be talking about stuff. I'm like, oh, let me check that chat. I'm like, oh my God, there's more chat. It was super great. And I had a great time with that. And we definitely plan to come back and make it a thing. And thanks for listening to Turtle Soup this year, whether you just found the show through YouTube or just found the show audio or whatever, and you've been following the journey with us. We love it. And I know for a fact we picked up some new listeners this year that we're really excited about checking the show out. So thanks so much for showing up and hopping on the journey with us. And another year in the books, Eric. It's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
This year saw our 10-year anniversary. Is our 10th
That's what I was
year
gonna say. Yeah, 10
as
years.
a podcast. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's wild. And speaking of things that didn't age well, goodness gracious. But thankfully, I think we redeem ourselves once you get us later on. We kind of redeem ourselves. But
I don't know, man. I think Oh, I thought you were talking about our looks. I was like, I think I look better than I did 10 years ago. I think.
Absolutely. Both of us.
Besides my eyes being red, sometimes I feel like I've lost a ton of weight and I don't look as bad.
No. I
looked kind of a lot more rough 10 years ago.
Yeah. You don't look nowhere near as, but you looked horrible back in the day. Like you were just.
I know. I looked horrendous back in the day.
That's why we were an Audible.
That's why you called
audio
me
podcast. Oh
yeah.
my goodness. I was like, Ryan just looks horrible. We can't do video.
You're like, oh no, he's got a face for radio. I can't do that.
Yes, that's what I was going for. No. I'm just playing. No, I was just talking about things we said. But to your point about new listeners, hey, if you're a new listener and you haven't wrote us an email, let us know because we like to know you're out there. Like you said, turtlesoupshow@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to find out new Turtletarians, and it's fun. And again, I just want
you don't got to be a long time. You don't got to be a long time first time.
Mm-mm.
You can just be short time first time.
Short time first time, exactly. And just want to thank everyone again, like you did, for listening and being a part, and it means a lot. And we got big things. I hate to be that guy that's saying big things are coming, like whatever. But
no, we do. We have an episode 300 coming up that we're going to get to one day. Hopefully, I'll be good enough for it when it comes. We have big plans for that. And I'm looking forward to another 10 years with you, Eric Crosby.
Oh, likewise.
This has been really fun.
That's wild to think that we're gonna blink and we're gonna be like, 20 years of Turtle Soup, and geez, it's gonna be wild. And we're still gonna be the 90s. We're still gonna be like covering shit in the 90s.
Oh my god, I feel like at some point, like one day we're just gonna be doing this, and we're just gonna get like a plaque in the mail, and it's gonna be like, you're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you're
yeah.
For what? They're like,
for what?
Longest podcast. You're like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not even a thing, but we have to fly to Cleveland. It's a whole thing,
Yeah. We're working our way there. Well, all right, everyone. Well, we, again, like you said, stay tuned to the socials.
Yeah.
We'll be posting when we're going to live stream next week before the holidays. And you can jump on there and join us and send us emails. Let us know, and we'll be talking about that on the live stream. And, that'll do it. So, till then, else time.
Else time.